Good morning, Katie Munn here with Munnday Musings, Portland, Maine. It's a little bit rainy and muggy, but it's a beautiful fall day. So today at Munnday Musings, we are going to be talking about asking permission and honoring somebody else's time and energy. So we're going to be looking at this through three different lenses. One is advice, asking somebody if they want to hear your advice. The next one is if you have something really traumatic or heavy to share, asking somebody if they're in the correct headspace to be able to receive that. And if you're on the receiving end of somebody sharing something that you're just not able to support, speaking up and stating that. So we're going to jump into some examples to start off so you get a better gist of what I'm speaking about. But it's such a beautiful thing to be aware of your own personal energy and then also be aware of the energy of the other person that you're sharing something really intimate or really deep with. So an example may be it is Wednesday, you're at work, a coworker's like, hey, can we have lunch on Friday and discuss this new team I'm on? So they just joined your team and they're having some issues. So right there off the bat, that is such a beautiful thing. They set their intention. They told you that they wanted to speak about something that was maybe a little bit difficult, that they're having a hard time, and they are giving you the permission to say yes or no. So you could be like, oh, no, actually, I'm really busy. Or you could say, yeah, sure, I would love to meet with you, and I'd love to discuss whatever is going on with you. So you say yes, and then you go to lunch. And so this person, they're just kind of really expressing their frustration with the position, really expressing some hard things that they're going through. And if you're like me, you like to help people, you're a healer, you're solution based, you may sort of delve into, well, let me just tell you about Marsha. This is what you need to know about the situation, right? But the other person may not want advice. A lot of times people just want somebody to listen to them. And one of the kindest things you can do is ask somebody if they want your advice. A friend and I, we've been practicing this sort of way of communicating for a while. And sometimes, he'll be talking about something that's really rough or something he's going through. And I'm like, well, do you want to hear my advice? And he's like, nope, I want to figure it out on my own. Like, no, thank you. If I do want advice, you're the first person I'll come to. But I give him that option instead of just reeling into what I think is best, because ultimately, we need to figure out our own lives. So people can give us advice, we can look at books, we can, do all these different things. But if we're not implementing these things in our life, they're not going to change. And 10 people can tell us the same thing, but it's our choice if we want to hear it or not. So asking for permission is such a beautiful thing. And so the person could be like, well, yeah, that's why I invited you to lunch. Or they could be like, well, no, thank you for listening to me, though. I really appreciate that. So that's such a lovely thing to do. The next example, let's say it's Friday, you've had a heck of a week. You are so exhausted. You're having lunch with a dear friend. You haven't seen them in ages, and you're excited. You're like, I'm going to just kick back. I might have a cocktail at lunch. We're going to have so much fun. So you're at lunch, and you're hanging out, and all of a sudden your friend starts telling you about this huge fight she had with her husband, like really intense fight. And you're kind of like, whoa, I've had such a long week. I can't even process this. I don't even know how to react. Like, you're caught off guard. And it would be ideal. Could you imagine what the shift in energy would be if the friend said, like, hey, my husband and I had this crazy fight last night. Would you mind listening? Just that tiny act of asking for permission, it almost creates an energetical shift into somebody that's receiving that information. And if you're like me, very empathetic, sometimes when you're caught off guard, you can really absorb that energy. And so, asking permission, you could say, sure, okay, yeah. Or you could be like, no, wow, I've had such a crazy week and I really want to listen to you and I really want to be able to hold space for you. You know I love you, but can we talk on the phone tomorrow or can we get tea on Monday? So they're giving you permission to check in with where you're at energetically as well. But in this case, they didn't ask permission. They just sort of started reeling into a really intense emotional situation with their husband. And that's where you, as a listener, no matter how dear of a friend, if you're not in the spot, if you're feeling overwhelmed, to set that boundary, to say, I love you so much and you're a dear friend and I want to hear about this, but I'm not quite in the space to receive it. So can we talk about this later? And you're allowed to do that. And I feel like you may be like, well, Katie Munn, like friends are friends. And friends listen to good things and friends listen to bad things. And that's just how it is. And it's true. And sometimes you have beautiful relationships with people where you can share really intimate, hard things and it just flows. But sometimes you also have those relationships with coworkers and friends and family members where the person kind of offloads on you a little bit and they take a little bit more of an energy. So checking in with somebody about where they're at and if they're able to receive the information you're giving them is such a beautiful thing. So this is something I'm actively practicing, something I sometimes do really well at, sometimes I don't do as well at, but it's so wonderful to honor where you're at energetically and honor where the other person's at energetically too, and be like, you're listening to me and you're taking your time and your energy and you're sharing that with me, and thank you. And even just that, if you start sort of telling your friend this sob story, and then you're like, oh crap, I did it again, after just saying, thank you so much for listening to me, can go miles. So this week, I just want you to be curious in how you interact with others, curious about the conversations you have with them. Are you asking permission to share your advice? Are you maybe overgurgitating too much information when maybe you just need to deal with it yourself? Or are you asking somebody else if they're in a good space to share something really intense? So just creating some mindfulness about your behaviors. All right, I love you all so, so much. Have a beautiful week, and I will see you next Monday. Okay, bye.